Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Mudd, a fan of South Plains politics. Here's your talking points for this week. What is it with Lubbock County and medical examiners that just automatically draw controversy and problems? Well, now county leaders are trying something a little different, and they found it in Sweetwater. And a chat with nationally syndicated columnist George Will on what he thinks is coming politically in 2020 and what needs to happen.
From the studios of KMAC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points with Bryan Mudd.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Also this week, blame it on the rain. Cotton, like most crops, needs rain and sun at the right times to grow and eventually turn into money. Not just for farm families, but to hold up the economy of the entire region. And as we edge toward harvest time, rain at the wrong time could bring the need to plant something different just to make ends meet. We've talked about how the state has given the go-ahead for farmers to plant hemp, but just not yet. There are rules coming on exactly how this will have to be done. And until that's done, farmers are left to investigate and weigh the pros and cons, as KMAC's Wes Rappaport found out in Brownfield.
We're always looking to diversify our crop rotation as much as we can. So anything that can add value to our operations, we're excited to look into.
40 miles southwest of Lubbock, cotton and peanut farmer Mason Becker has a lot of questions about hemp.
With any new crop, there's going to be concerns. Chief among them with the hemp is obviously legality.
But he and other Texas growers are in a holding pattern.
We're still waiting on USDA to hand down regulations for the TDA to go through and hand down to us.
We're getting ready to write the rules and get ready for spring planting.
Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller tells me the state's climates and regions are ripe for opportunity.
This is the type of a crop that you can grow anywhere in Texas. We're going to have a lot of producers actually put in greenhouse operations, particularly the seed growers, so they could grow 4 or 5 crops a year. It's that lucrative.
And he expects Texas to be a leader in the market. Anybody going to buy hemp?
There's a lot of talk out there for hemp, a big market for it. There's a lot of people going to be buying hemp, CBD oil. We're talking about fiber, over 2,000 products that can be made from it. We're going to be in on the ground floor of that.
At the end of the day, it's about profit.
I don't see hemp coming in and taking over cotton by any means. If it could become a viable option as a rotation crop, I think it's something worth pursuing.
In Austin, Wes Rappaport, KMAC News.
Wes, thank you. And of course, there's no one better to talk about this than our expert on all things, Steve Verrett from Plains Cotton Growers. Always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Bryan.
Well, you obviously work and advocate for the cotton industry, but do you take positions or on alternate or rotated crops or hemp as a potential help in the near future at all?
Basically, our position on any alternative crop is we're for anything that farmers can make money on. It's going to be difficult for any crop to displace cotton completely because, we're growing it on 4.5 million acres on the high plains of Texas. So any crop that moved a significant portion of those acres out of cotton production, it could be detrimental to their price. So bottom line is any crop that farmers can grow and grow profitably, we're all for it.
I think they're probably all for it too here. Yeah. But give me a sense as we get ready to get the cotton crop out of the ground and ginned up. Give me a sense of the crop this year, amount, quality, things of that nature.
Well, the crop, as you know, started off with a lot of potential. We had great subsoil moisture. Things looked pretty good. It was a little slow start in the spring, but then the rain stopped about July the 10th, and we were extremely dry all of July and all of August, and very hot as well. So what could have been a great crop is going to turn out to be an average or a little above average crop. The most recent crop report just come out this week. Looks like they're still predicting for our area about 4.5 million bales, which will be an above average crop. Yep. But as I said, not the crop that folks had hoped for back earlier in the spring.
We hear a lot from Washington and other places about how the whole trade and tariff issue thing affects the country as a whole. Thankfully, a bit of movement now in China. But explain to folks how a cotton farmer from Hockley County with some substantial acreage is directly impacted by that, or are they?
They are, most definitely. We export close to 90% of the cotton grown in the United States. And so our international markets and trade are absolutely critical. And China, for one, is very certainly critical. We've talked about before that, you know, there's been concerns about China. They've been cheating on a lot of on the WTO agreement especially. And so we need to have some reconciliation on that. And as you mentioned, you know, it appears from where the markets were reacting on Friday that we may have at least a mini agreement or something coming together with China on agriculture especially. So it's very important and it's critical. China is a large consumer of cotton, and so we need to be trading with them, but it needs to be fair and on a level playing field.
Sure, and so hopefully that will turn into something big long term. Still waiting on the new North American deal. There's some issues with the European Union as far as tariffs as well. As all that continues on, where is exported cotton going? And I say that meaning, are there any new markets that maybe we haven't seen a lot of that are keeping prices where they should be?
Well, there are. Cotton, you know, is fungible. It can go wherever it needs to go, but it takes time because when a textile mill gets used to using a particular growth of cotton, it's a manufacturing process and it's a natural product. So when they get used to using a particular growth, they're reticent to change because when you change to a different growth, there's subtle differences in it. And so it takes them a while to get used to that. But yes, Vietnam is becoming a much more important market for U.S. cotton. Bangladesh, Indonesia, certainly still Mexico and Central America. And you mentioned about USMCA. That's why it's critical to get that agreement finished up and done so that we don't disrupt any of the flow going into Mexico and Central America.
It means a lot to folks in Texas and farming and all sorts of other industry too. You've been to Washington, I know, here in the past few months. What's the latest there? Any news of any movement at all?
Well, everybody says, certainly the folks in the Senate are saying they're just waiting on the House to get it done and send it over to them. There won't be any problem passing it in the Senate. The Democrats, I believe, are negotiating in good faith. On the House side, they're the ones that's going to have to make the decision to bring it to a vote. It's my belief that if they will bring it to a vote, that it can pass. There are enough Democrats from districts that USMCA is critical to what goes on in those economies in those districts. So they're working through it. I'm hopeful. I think most people are hopeful that we should see some movement on this, hopefully by Thanksgiving, if not soon after that, when they come back after Thanksgiving.
Could certainly be important, especially as we get started now and planning for another season.
Absolutely.
Before too much longer. Well, Steve, stay close so we can have you back when something happens to explain all this for us, because we certainly need the help.
Always available, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
And let's do this week's poll question. Should Texas raise the age of criminal responsibility to 18? There's a renewed push to do that in the next legislative session, and Texas is one of only 4 states where the age is currently under 18. Talk to us on our KMAC News Facebook page and on everythinglubbock.com. Click on Talking Points and give us your opinion. Coming up, what can and can't happen as the impeachment inquiry moves forward in Washington.